human civilization is not just about business interests, economic growth, or new technology breakthrough. It's a broader conception. It's a kind of an intellectual development of trying to think the big picture of what is happening. It was kind of an interesting, at Harvard we have the young scholars, we would have a lunchroom. And somebody would say, oh yeah, well that's one way, here's another way of looking at it. He enjoyed intellectual playfulness of ideas. But I felt getting to know people and talking to them was much more important. That also made me a little more skeptical about documents, because some historians, they look at documents and say, well, was it in the document? But I realized that even in writing a document, you don't get the whole story. The document does not tell everything. And sometimes the documents have some purpose. So that sometimes talking to people, maybe it's not as precise and not as accurate, but sometimes it can be deeper and you understand why the documents. So I kept learning from talking to people a lot, yeah. So it was very important, yeah.
And in your book, you seldom show your scholarly side. I mean, very straightforward and focus on the facts and yeah. Why?
Well, I think that's to what I'm trying to do is not so important. I grew up in a small town. Most of my high school friends did not go to college. Some went to college. When I was writing, I would try to think, what can those guys understand? And always try to have stories, because in the United States, people, they didn't care so much about other people's point of view. If you say, I don't particularly like bar, but if it's Americans at a bar, hey, what you think, man? Don't think of it that way, yeah. Let's think of it this way, yeah. Let's have another drink. That guy is crazy, man. He doesn't know what he's doing, yeah.
You said before that you study other countries because you want to use others' experience to maybe enlighten the United States.
Yes.
During the past 5 decades, you travel deeply into China, Japan.
Yes.
So what's the major things you want to bring to the United States, to Americans?
Well, unfortunately, they don't listen enough. If I really want to try to make America, if I really had power and really want to have fundamental, I think the experience of the countries that were late developers, where the country takes a more active role in trying to guide the whole country, would be really good. For example, we have good suburbs that have good schools. In poor neighborhoods, we have very poor schools, very poor teachers. If you had a national Ministry of Education, you would really try to have a national program. And you would have federal money, national money, to help the backward schools. So you would have a much more equal educational system. So if I really had power and really want to use the example of Japan and China, I would say the government should take a much more active role. But I'm afraid America can't do that. I mean, we're not a late developer, and now people have too much pride. But in some ways, I think my vision is bigger. I mean, it's a very important intellectual task for the whole world. The grand vision, like Toynbee in the West had a big grand vision, and maybe some earlier period had a grander vision. But I think now people are not looking forward enough. For example, the bureaucrats I knew in the 1950s, that generation who were thinking how you build a modern Japan were really very broad. And the bureaucrats now are much pettier. They've become too small. I think that, there are historical changes in different time periods. Whether you have a broad vision makes a big difference. For example, humiliation could be used in different ways. It could be used as a stimulus to study and to learn more, to build a modern organization. The Meiji is, as I say, it's a modernization program and an integrated program, and succeeded. But then they had years of disaster. In the 1930s, they had taught patriotism so successfully that the leaders could not control it. And the defeat by the United States was so devastating, and they suffered so much. And then they had to revise, and now they have to accept a new role in the world. I mean, in a way, it's not so glorious. Japan must accept China as number one in Asia, and America is a much greater, bigger country. They can be a modern country, but it's not so exciting. How to adjust to this new world? They don't have a clear vision. I think in China also, China is new powerful, and they have not yet become comfortable with their power. Now when they go to many other countries, some of the instinct is, look, we're the big shot, please listen to us. There are some people like that, and some other people say, now to get along as we expand, we cannot be too proud. That is a good way. But my impression is that they use a lot of slogans, but they haven't tried to be systematic. They did not have an overall systematic plan about learning from the world in every single area. Geography, local customs, the value system, the religion, the family structure, how to persuade, and how to have deep understanding of people, deeper feelings. For example, in the United States, propaganda is not a good way to persuade Americans. In the long run, this will not succeed very well. So they do not have yet the mature vision about how to adapt to the rest of the world as they grow. From America's point of view, I think after World War II, in a way, it was kind of a peak. We were the one great country in the world with modern industry. And now China will surpass America in some places. And we don't have a plan. I think our leaders, they have an instinctive reaction from the Cold War. We won't let another country pass. And a lot of people in Washington just want to criticize China, jump on China. But they don't have a vision of how to work with China now. I mean, from my point of view, human civilization is not just about business interests, economic growth, or new technology breakthrough. It's a broader conception. It's a kind of an intellectual development of trying to think the big picture of what is happening. Yeah.